If you haven't heard about Send Me Now at this point, we've either done a really bad job, we need to do better, or shame on your student for not telling you, because Send Me Now and BCM are like peanut butter and jelly, and we spend so much of our year raising money for Send Me Now. And so anytime you've seen a Adopt a Square or the buckets that we carried around for weeks at a time, that has been to raise money for our missions. And so Send Me Now is sponsored by the Georgia Baptist Mission Board, and it is part of their collegiate ministry, and it is basically a summer program. BCMs from all over the state raise money to send students for free or at very little cost, depending on where they're going, on missions for the summer. These trips can be anywhere from a couple of days to a couple of weeks to the entirety of the summer, and they have been such a blessing to students throughout the years. The BCM here, UNG's BCM, sends students every single year. Just like Keith mentioned earlier, we have about 97 students across the state going this year, which is absolutely incredible. And I had the pleasure of doing Send Me Now last summer, the COVID summer, and it was absolutely insane, but the Lord blessed my life in so many ways. I originally was supposed to serve at Friendship Baptist in Americus, Georgia for a month, basically. And I was going to be practically a camp counselor. I was going to help run some of the worship services. And I was so excited. I'd never been on a mission trip as a believer before, and I was absolutely pumped. Got to meet some of my team, started building relationships, and then COVID happened, and the world, as we all know, flipped upside down. And so we remained hopeful with our summer missions projects, and we just figured that things would go out as planned. I think we all had the attitude in the beginning that the 2 weeks to beat the curve, to flatten the curve, that was going to be it. But we found out sooner than later that it turned into something so much more. And so within a week, my assignment had been changed 3 different times, and I didn't know what group I was a part of, where I was going, and I was really angry with God. I was like, Lord, you knew how many people would be reached in these amazing trips this summer. How could you take that away from people? How could you squash those opportunities for people to hear the gospel? I just couldn't understand. And so my final assignment was to Chula, Georgia. And if you don't know where that is, I sure didn't either. But you keep going down south, and just when you think you can't go south enough, you keep going a little further. And it's actually where ABAC is. And I went, and I was supposed to serve a week there. And got down there. I didn't really want to be there, to be honest with you. I wanted to do my original trip. I was tired of being flopped around. I was, like I said, angry at the Lord. But I went anyways, and we got down there. We spent the whole weekend planning, and on Monday we were going to have this VBS just for the local kids at the church, the kids that spend all the time together, so COVID wasn't really a problem with us. And the very first day of camp, about halfway through, these 2 kids had to leave. And so that night we got back to Miss Penny Chestnut's house, who I'll get to in a second, and she let us know that those kids had a sibling who tested positive for COVID. And all of a sudden, once again, our entire trip was flipped upside down, and many conversations were happening in the next hour. We didn't know if we were going to have to quarantine there in Chula for 2 weeks. We didn't know if we had to go home. We didn't know if we were going to have camp. And the next morning, we woke up, and there were trash bags ready for us to put all of our clothes in to be sanitized, because COVID was definitely a very different thing back in the beginning. And so once again, I was just left sitting thinking, God, why? We finally had something. We worked so hard, did so much shopping. I've never spent so much money at Dollar Tree in my life to buy things for kids. It was crazy. I just couldn't understand. And I was just left feeling really hopeless. And slowly, one by one, the members on our trip decided to go home. Their parents wanted them to go home. And I don't know what it was, but I just felt this calling in my heart to stay and finish out my term. And I don't say that to say, oh, look at me, oh, I was so faithful, I stuck it out. I'm saying that because it is a testament to how the Lord was changing my heart. Because so much had already happened over that weekend. I had learned so much from Miss Penny. I had seen just a glimpse of what the Lord was going to do that week, that I knew that I was being called to stay. And so it was just me and Miss Penny Chestnut, who is the fiercest warrior for the Lord I've ever met in my life. She prays over you, and I felt like I was good to go until I was 30. Nobody had to pray over me again. And Miss Penny spent so much time just her and I sitting down. We'd have 2 or 3 Bible studies a day between our different tasks that we did throughout the week. Going through the Bible, teaching me basic fundamentals. I've gone to church my entire life, and Miss Penny took the time to show me, why should I pray? Why does God love me? How does God love me? These huge questions that I'd had in my entire life that had been mountains to my little ounce of faith were suddenly climbable, and it's because the Lord used Miss Penny to touch me personally. And so this is, my summer was a unique summer, and it was a unique experience. But my summer, what happens to me happens to students at every trip, every summer. Whether it's COVID, whether it's a normal year, it doesn't matter. And so, I just want to use my story as a testament to you to tell you that Send Me Now matters. Miss Penny and I, we were able to paint a church hallway. We made 500 water bottles that had BCM information cards for the students when they came back. We did a lot of things with it just being us two. But the Lord definitely worked. And so I encourage you today, these little green envelopes are back there next to the donation bin. Please consider giving to Send Me Now. Every last penny goes to send students. It takes, on average, $1,200 to $1,500 to send one student free of cost. And there's nothing better to do what the Lord has already called you to do. So if you can't go yourself, send somebody else. And so thank you so much for letting me talk. I hope I didn't talk your ears off too much. Without further ado, Drew is going to come up here and lead us in a game, I think. Thank you so much.